sér. Rúndur Þorbjörnsson. Valbert skorar. Valbert Guðmundsson hefur skorað. Ragnar Margeirsson og skotmark. Glæsilega.
Óskar Rafn á móti Bjarna. Og Bjarni með góða sendingu fyrir og Haraldur Ingvarsson.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you may be in the world. Probably in Iceland, but you never know, because neither of us are in Iceland. Welcome back to another episode of the Best of Pod Ever. This is episode 11. Episode 11. We've done this 11 times. Actually, we've done it more because there's been special episodes, but yeah, no, this is exciting, and we are coming to the business end of the season. There's only 3 match days left until the split, and then there's a bunch more, which will be exciting, and we'll get there soon. But it feels like we're coming to the end of the season a little bit. In this episode, we're gonna talk about the round just gone, which was week 19 in the league. But first, Tryggvi is here, as always. Tryggvi, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Joe. It's going to be good. A good round for me, good round for you, so everyone's happy.
Yes, everyone is happy in this episode, and yeah, it's great. It's probably going to shine through a little bit. We'll see. But no, it's good. Maybe I should mention too, though, not to put a damper on things, but there is a cup game going on right now. I think it just wrapped up, actually.
Yeah, but this is the best of pod. We don't talk about the cup, so it's fine. We can skip the cup.
Okay, skip the cup. No milk cup chat, but you can probably infer what happened between Víkingur and Valur. All right, that's all we're going to say. All right, yeah, so to kick things off, we're going to go through the matches. The first match for this weekend was Valur. They hosted Breiðablik, and it ended in a 1-1 draw between the two sides that have been in Europe and featured heavily for Iceland this year. And yeah, you could kind of tell there could have been a lot more goals in this game on a different day. It probably could have ended 3-3. There were that many chances. And I think, honestly, it just kind of comes down to tired minds that are focused more on Europe at the moment than really anything else. They split the points. That's a little disappointing, I think, for Breiðablik. It moves them a little further back from any sort of title challenge, and we kind of already mentioned on the last pod that you and I both really think it's over, and I think it's probably over for sure. And for Valur, I mean, they're mid-table. It doesn't really help them. It doesn't necessarily hurt them based on some of the other results that happened this week as well.
Yeah, I think both managers, neither team has the biggest chance, I guess, in the second leg here. But I think if they're going to have any chance, either of these teams, they realize, okay, we need to rest these players. We need to give ourselves the best shot going into the next leg. And the Breiðablik manager even said it, that they took a decision after the first leg and said, okay, we're not, because they have to travel to Akureyri, which is it's not quite the US distances that you're used to, but in Icelandic terms, it's fairly far. So he decided to leave some players at home, including Antonari, who's had a lot of critiques this season.
Yeah,
and Kawa as well. So I think it was a matter of like both teams tired and maybe just happy with not getting hammered.
Yeah, and I think also for Breiðablik, they went down to 10 men just right before halftime with Oliver Stephenson getting a red card. I haven't actually seen if it was legit or not, and so it happened. They played the whole second half down a man, so perhaps getting a draw away from home is not so bad. Clement Olsen, our Faroese friend, he opened up the scoring in the 16th minute for Breiðablik, but then there was a penalty awarded to Kawa, and that's how they equalized. I guess on the flip side of that, Kawa unable to really take advantage of being a man up at home. That's maybe a little disappointing, but at the end of the day, a point is a point.
Yeah, for sure. Kawa will be the more disappointed team coming out of this. Like I said, Breiðablik resting a lot of players in a tough away match. It should have been a game that Kawa could have taken advantage of, gained some ground on the teams above them and below them, and then being a man more for most of the game. It's they'll be definitely the disappointed team of the two.
So after that game, there were two that kicked off at the same time. Keflavik faced Valur. That'll be the first one that we talk about. So Keflavik and Valur ended in the same scoreline as well, 1-1. They split the points. Two very late goals, both of them in stoppage time of the second half. So Keflavik actually went up in the 95th minute, which was incredible. Sammy Camel made it 1-0 in the 95th minute, and then in the 96th minute, Bikir Mar, he absolutely saves Valur at the death. Because, that wouldn't have looked too good on the resume this season, I don't think. So Valur snatching a late point, but Keflavik, under a new manager, that's a fairly decent result. I mean, I'm not sure many expected Keflavik to get a point in that game or any points at all. Yeah, I think that's a positive sign for them, especially under a new coach. For Valur, their attack really went missing for a lot of the game. Tryggvi and Patrick were relatively absent. Aaron Johansson did not start. Adam Agir, he did not have a really great game. A lot of the Keflavik fans apparently were giving him some serious stick for doing more for the Keflavik side than for Valur, which is unfortunate. From an outward appearance, it kind of looks like Valur thought, okay, well, maybe this is an opportunity for us to rest some guys ahead of a huge game in this next window, this next round against Víkingur. Maybe they could rest some guys and still snatch the points, but it didn't quite work out that way.
No, I mean, if you look at both these team seasons, you would definitely assume that Valur should be able to rest a few people. I mean, their attack is completely stacked with talent and the midfield as well, so they should be able to take care of this Keflavik side. But this is the second time this season that Keflavik draws against Valur. The first time was 0-0 when they drew Valur and Breiðablik back to back. But they just can't win. It's impossible.
Yeah. Completely crazy. For Valur, that means they're 8 points back from Víkingur now. So again, putting a lot of stress on this game coming up. If Valur don't win against Víkingur, then it seems really likely that that's a big dent to their title hopes. I don't want to say it's over, but if they lose that game, that is going to be a real tall task, I think, for them to overcome. And if they can get a point, maybe that's not the end of the end all, but it's going to be hard nonetheless. So, yeah, it's we're gearing up for a big weekend.
Yeah, because Víkingur has only lost one game this season. It'd be different if both teams had lost 4 or 5 games, and there was some vulnerability and weakness in both teams. Then you could sort of say that, okay, maybe one of the team goes on a bad run or something. But it doesn't look like Víkingur have a soft underbelly in this season. Maybe if they sell half their team before the split, then maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Let's talk a little bit about Keflavik, though. So, they got a valuable point in that game. Maybe looking a little refreshed. I think we mentioned on the last show, Keflavik actually ended up sacking the coach who they'd already announced was going to leave at the end of the season. But I guess the board came in and said, you know what? We're going with it now.
It seemed like there was some... From the interviews with the players, it seems like that there was some sort of people weren't very happy that they were just he said he was going to leave at the end of the season, especially a season like this when things are going really badly.
Yeah.
I think maybe people reading between the lines, it seems like people were say if you're going to quit, then just quit. Don't tell us this. With a few games left when we're fighting relegation. So I think if you're going to do this, just cut it off. They still have a chance. They're only 6 points behind IPVF in 10th place. So it's not like they're completely dead. It's not like they're 10 points behind, and IPVF and Fylkir are not in the greatest runs either. So there is a chance, and if they can build some momentum who knows?
Yeah.
But they need some help.
Yeah, and I would add Fromm into that mix as well. I think between the four of those, and we actually put out a graphic earlier today with the last 3 games that each of these teams has going into the final 3 rounds of the regular season before the split. And yeah, for Keflavik, I think a lot of people agree with maybe what I'm about to say here, but they have a really hard run in for the last few games. We actually put some polls up on our Instagram and on our Twitter account, so if you're interested, go participate in those. We'd love to hear your opinion on who of those bottom 4 has the hardest run left in the regular season. But Keflavik, so they now have to go away to Breiðablik. They are at home to Fromm, and then in the last week, they're away to Stjarnan. Given the form of Breiðablik and Stjarnan, and perhaps the gap in talent, for lack of a better word, that's brutal. I personally don't think it's much better for Fromm. They have Kawa at home, then they face Keflavik away, and then they have Víkingur in the final match day. And so yeah, to me that just it's tough for both those teams. But for Keflavik, maybe they can take this point from Valur and run with it a little bit and see. The way that we've talked about them this season, we've kind of talked about them as kind of being dead in the water. And I'm not sure that I completely, my opinion hasn't really changed per se, but I think it's a positive step in the right direction, and it's something they could build on. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens next, I guess. All right, yeah, so at the same time as that game, FA was home to EBVUF, and yeah, this game was a fun one. Really dogged first half for both sides. I don't really feel like either team played that well. And pretty much right before halftime, FA, as they've done in recent weeks, and continues to be a thorn in my side, just a really sloppy giveaway for the EBVUF goal. I'm not sure, again, why we keep making these mistakes. They're like little mental lapses, and some, they've bitten us in the butt in the last couple weeks. Sometimes we've been able to get over them, as is in this case. But Bjorn Daniel just tried to take a quick free kick from the back, but he was surrounded by 3 EBVUF players, and so I think he was trying to pass it out to the right side, but he ended up passing it right to EBVUF, and then the ball came into Atkinson, the Jamaican, and he chipped Sindri for the opening goal. Just really, just complete brain fart, and just it's frustrating to me. But yeah, so I think Heimir knew that his side did not play well the first half. He came out of halftime and made 3 subs immediately. Arnor Gudjonsson went up top for Dmitrievich, and then Kjartan Halldórsson came in at right center back for Asbjorn, and then Gretar Sneer came in for Logie Robertson. And I think that really changed the game in the second half, as was evidenced by the fact that FA equalized. I think it was in the 54th minute. It was pretty quick after halftime, and you could kind of tell Heimir went a little ape at halftime in the locker room and really got after his guys, and so they came out with guns blazing. So FA equalized, and then a little while later, Vidar Ari got his first goal for FA, which was great. Kjartan Henry got the first, and it ended that way. It ended 2-1 to FA, so they picked up the 3 points at home, which is good, and what they probably should be doing. EBVUF, man, they're tricky. They're a tricky side. We've talked a lot about them, especially at home, but they have not been great away. And yeah, just in the second half, they didn't really seem to have too much of a response. There was, they had some opportunities, but it was good for FA to get the points. Sorry, I've been talking a lot. I'll let you speak here in a second, but I just want to say, Heimir, after the match, came out and said, it was not a good first half, and he called the team a little, quote-unquote, floaty, whatever that means. But he also said, they showed good character to get back into the game and go on to win. That's now 4 losses in a row for EBVUF. Hemi, the EBVUF coach, also said after the game, some of his comments, I guess he's not really worried. He has faith in his players, and, he said they always tend to come back stronger. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, they on paper, I guess, they have the easiest run in. They have Fylkir, HK, and KR. So, they're not playing one of the top 3. Fylkir is a fellow relegation struggler. HK and KR are sort of fighting out for the mid-table. So, in theory, they could get some points there, right? But on the other hand, these are all teams actually still fighting for something. So none of these teams are going to lay down and let them have the 3 points. So these are going to be tough 3 games. And if they keep losing all 3 of these, especially if they lose against Fylkir next weekend, right, at home, then then maybe warning bells should ring. If they lose to Fylkir at home, and even if they lose points, I think they should start to get worried about what's coming next.
Yeah, I agree. They did sign a new player. We're going to talk about that in one of the future sections. But yeah, I agree. If they don't beat Fylkir at home, alarm bells for sure. Let's move on to your team, KR. They were at home to Fram. Ended 3-2.
Yeah, this was a tale of 2 halves a little bit. I think that's been the case with KR a lot this season. The first half I was watching this with my dad and my brother, and we were a little bit shocked at how Fram was playing. They seemed a bit, it surrendered and everything. This was just a team that was, like you were saying, that they're a team that's struggling, just couldn't cope, and KR was walking through them, especially on the right with Atle and Jói. They seemed to just be walking through them. And they were 2-0 up at halftime from pretty nice goals. Through was Ægir, Jarl, and Benoni, I think. And then in the halftime, they made 3 subs. 2 of them turned out to be injuries, Atle and Finnur. Atle couldn't play tonight in the cup, and Finnur did recover. I don't know if he's fully fit was fully fit for the cup game, but he had some sort of back thing, I think. And they just lost all momentum, and Fram scored in the first 18 seconds or something like that in the second half. And then it just was a super tight game, and I think we were all pretty worried at 2-1 with not that much left that this was a game that was going to turn into Fram's favor, and if not a draw, then maybe even a win for Fram.
Yeah,
it was just it was way too tight, and KR weren't really threatening too much, as has been the case too much this season. But then out of nothing, Christian Flógi just scores a goal to put us 3-1 up, and then Fram reduced to 3-2 at the very end with both a really nice goal from Fram's perspective as a really nice pass from I forget who made the pass, but a really nice sort of long pass. But at the same time, I think the defense and the goalkeeper should look inside themselves a little bit for that goal. They sort of the striker was caught in no man's land there, and it was all a little bit too easy. But yeah, I think 3-2 is unfortunately a little bit of a good indication of where this game was. There were periods when either team just had no sense of threat or ability to score, and then the other one just took over the game. KR is a young team that's building. For Fram, maybe it's a bit of a worrying sign.
Yeah, according to FOTMob, Ægir Jarl was the player of the match. He had a 9.1 rating out of 10, so that's pretty high. And of course, as you mentioned, he was a player that scored one of the goals. And it looks like he did a job there in the middle of the field. 68% pass completion rate. That's pretty good.
To be honest, I think the main threats that I was seeing from Fram were, if not directly, then at the very least indirectly, from Fred and Thiago. Like I said, if the shot wasn't coming from them, then the assist and the build-up was all sort of coming from them. I think Fram really would struggle without those two. So I know you can take them for granted a bit sometimes, and they're like, oh yeah, of course they're the star players, but it's just, I think it was very clear in that game that those two very much run the show. So I think it's hard to take either one of those, even if they didn't get key goal metric or assist metric. I think they should really get some credit here. And then on KR's side, Benoni was really good. He's a striker that's that's really growing. It's a bit unfortunate that he's turned into the main striker for Coward for such a young player. That's I think when he came, he started off as definitely a winger. I think there was even talk when he joined that he was sort of a fullback. So now he's turned into arguably our best striker. So he's really growing, and a really good indication of that was when it was for the first goal when Ayri scored. There was a cross came in from Atli, I think, and Benoni tried like a scissor kick, just like it was just this like it's just a very good indication of this kid with a bunch of confidence and ability, and not afraid to try these crazy things. And I think it's something that Coward really needs. And he scored a nice goal today against the only goal against Víkingur. It was quite a nice header. I managed to catch that on Twitter. So we highlighted him we've highlighted him a bit this season, but he deserves some credit this game.
Yeah, I think that's impressive. He's so young, but able to adapt like that. I think that's a great quality to have. Something that's probably attractive to a lot of different teams, I would imagine. And he's getting some valuable experience, so that's positive. It looks like Fred started up top for Fram instead of kind of in the middle in that game, so that's an interesting change. I haven't noticed that with any of the other games, so I wonder if they were just switching it up to see if he could do something different. It looks like he started up top for Fram.
As far as I remember, I think Guðmundur Magnússon was mostly in attack, but they're a bit. That's the good thing about Thiago and Fred is like they're. I think did Fred get no, he didn't get a yellow card in this game. I think there was maybe one tackle where he could have gotten a yellow, but it's where he was sort of tracking back, and he was all the way down in the fullback position tracking back. So like he's all over the pitch. Big
3 points for Kauer there to stay on pace with FAU and Stjarnan in that bottom 3 of the top 6. So that's good. Continuing on with the top 6. So Víkingur were at home. They hosted Haukau. I don't think we're going to spend a ton of time on this game, if I'm being honest. And it's not because for any other reason other than this was like a complete demolition. Víkingur were 6-1 winners. Haukau did not really put up much of a fight and didn't look great, but I think it has more to do with the disparity between the talent in each side than anything else. Gunnar Vattenhammer with a double. Yeah, and as we've already mentioned, 8-point lead for Víkingur now.
Yeah, I think the main thing that everyone was talking about this game was the bench for Víkingur, because they, like Valur, they chose to rest some players because they had the Kauer Cup game tonight, so they have the game before the big game against Valur. So they rested some players, and for them it worked, unlike for Valur. But people were talking about the bench that they had, and they're calling it the strongest ever bench in the Icelandic league. It was, they had Pablo Punja, Halldór Smári, Birnir Snær, Aron Elís, Nikolai Hansen, and Mattias Williamson. Like, I think we tweeted that like it was 5-0, and then Nikolai Hansen was coming on or something. And it's just like, it just seemed cruel at that point. Like they're bringing on Pablo Punja and Aron Elís and Nikolai Hansen when there's like 4-5-0 up like at home against Haukau. It seemed a bit rude, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, this game was 4-0 at halftime, and I it's insane the depth there, and I think that just strengthens kind of our argument for the fact that, like if Víkingur somehow blow the title this season, like we're all gonna look back on this and be like, what the heck just happened? So yeah, that is something.
Some heads will fly for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Right, that's the Víkingur match. To wrap up the week, on Monday evening, Fylkir hosted Stjarnan. I actually, in the back of my head initially, was kind of wondering about this game and if this might be a little bit of a trap for Stjarnan. But I had nothing to worry about. Stjarnan run out 4-0 winners. Pretty routine win for them. They opened up the scoring in the first 5 minutes, and this is kind of the so Emil Atlason on paper got a double, but I think you and I could both argue that he scored a hat trick in this game. His third goal, I don't know, it like bounced off the post, then it bounced off the goalkeeper, and then it went in.
It always feels weird. Like, I know those are technically own goals, but those always feel weird because like it feels both a bit cruel to put it on the goalkeeper because they can't do anything about it. Like, it's not like they threw it into their own net, and it also feels cruel to take it away from the striker who didn't do anything wrong. So it's
Yeah.
But it's I saw somewhere that, and I know that we have some followers on social media that are very good at following up on these statistics on assists and registrations of goals, and they were very upset that this was in some media registered as a hat trick because in their opinion it should only be a double. I think on the Kawasi website it's still only 2 goals that it's registered. I think the third goal is registered as an own goal. I don't know, but I've seen somewhere that he now has 10 goals, even though in theory he should have 9.
Yeah, so some stats from this game, just to give you a sense of how much Stjarnan dominated this game, more so in some regards and in some statistics than Víkingur did in their game. So Stjarnan had 65% possession. Víkingur did not. Víkingur had like 54 or something, I think. 17 total shots, 475 passes compared to 223 from Fylkir. Twice as many accurate passes, which is ridiculous. They had 9 corners compared to 3 for Fylkir. And then Stjarnan had 17 shots. 10 of those were on target. 10 shots on target. That's insane. And then 11 shots inside the box. 548 total passes compared to 291. So yeah, they just, from start to finish, Stjarnan just completely owned the game. And as we mentioned, Emil I've actually missed the first goal. You saw it. You say it's a really nice first time finish, but then I saw the rest of them, and yeah, the second goal was super header, like really nice header.
But it's like he takes the ball and then his finish is like 2 touches, but it's before the ball even touches the ground. It's an insane touch and then finish. Like I think it's the nicest goal of the night for him. I think it was really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was an impressive performance by Stjarnan. Although I don't think Fylkir were awful. Like I think, I know it was a lower scoreline as well, but I think Fylkir did better than Haukar, for example. It was a tighter game in that sense, because they've sold Óskar Borgþórsson now to Sogndal, and it's just too big of a blow for them, I think. And they haven't replaced him. Now they asked the manager if they could replace him, and he said no, they weren't planning on it. And I don't know if it's financial or what, but it's also just hard to replace a player like that. We've talked about that he was quite a big personality and very popular with people around the club and stuff. So and then on the field he was just a really good player. So you could see, like, there were some interesting runs. Like, I think Omar Björn and Sveit Gisle should get some credit there. I think especially Sveit Gisle had a few really nice runs, slaloming through the Stjarnan kids. But I think that there just wasn't any end product. We really praised Pétur Bjarnason last week. I think maybe this wasn't his best game. It was also just the deliveries he was getting. It was a bit too much like sort of long balls that he was chasing against the Stjarnan defense, which is not where his strengths lie. So they didn't have a very good game. And Rúnar Páll, the Fylkir manager, was very upset after that. His interview after that game was very. He was just saying it. He thought he was ready. He thought we were ready. In training, he thought we looked ready, and then we just clearly weren't ready. This is on me, and we weren't ready for this game, and he was not happy with this performance. So let's see if there's a bounce back against IBVF.
Yeah, big game for them for sure. Good. Well, yeah, that was round 19 in the Besta. We're gonna talk about the 3 stars of the round. Our 3 nominations. This is a new section that we've decided to do and are enjoying doing. So yeah, Tryggvi, how about you lead us off?
even though we didn't spend too much time on this game, I think the first star has to go to Gunnar Vatnamar. Or my Faroese pronunciation is terrible, so it's probably not pronounced in the same way as an Icelandic. But yeah, he was not just scoring 2 goals, but almost scored 3. I think he was very close. But he was also he's just been this game and all season. He's been completely dominant, and that's also why I was impressed with Benoni's goal today, because he actually managed to win a header against him, because that doesn't happen very often. You've seen games where teams are peppering balls into the box and it's just completely pointless because those two at the back had them away pretty easily. And Gunnar has showed once again, I think, really he won the most duels in this game, 12 duels, and he's so at the back and at front he had a really, really good game.
Yeah, really solid game from him. Definitely worthy of the star for sure. Our second one is Emil Atlason. We've already kind of talked about his accolades this week, but yeah, he's only played 13 matches after his injury earlier in the season. So the fact that he's been able to score 9 goals is pretty incredible. And yeah, it looks like that kind of averages out to 1 goal every 100 minutes. Yeah, impressive performance from him. And like we said, he could have had a hat trick, or in some people's minds, maybe they wrote it down that he did have a hat trick. But yeah, really strong performance from him. So he is the winner of our second star. And for our third star...
Third one we have is Sami Kamal from Keflavik. Probably should have mentioned him a bit earlier, but because he's had a really good season. He has only played 11 games for Keflavik. They probably would have hoped that he played more, because I think he's just been fantastic for them. He has 5 goals, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's for a pretty poor Keflavik side, and he's just pulling them along. And he was so close to getting the winner against FO. I don't think you can get any closer to getting a winner than that. And there's no argument that he's been the best player for Keflavik this season, and I'm sure there's eyes looking at him if and when Keflavik get relegated that they want to keep him in the Besta, because he's had a really impressive season for frankly a very poor side.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see if that does generate into something, because yeah, I would imagine you're probably correct. There's probably eyes on him that would be interested in having him. Perhaps even one of the promoted sides that comes up too. You never know. So great, awesome. Well, yeah, there's our 3 stars of the round. We're gonna take a short break, and then we'll come back with some transfer news. So with the transfer window closing, the door is now slammed shut, and we have some additional transfers to discuss. Of course, I think teams are still allowed to bring in players under certain conditions, but yeah, there's been some movement once again since we recorded last. So we'll start with Eyþór Aaron. He has gone back to Breiðablik from Haukau. The Breiðablik's recalled him from his loan. So you and I were kind of talking about this earlier. Clearly, Breiðablik on the hunt for someone to replace Stefán Ingi's goals. They're looking for a striker. So maybe he's the answer to that. I don't know.
There's been some talk in the Icelandic media that there is some trouble at Breiðablik. There's a storm brewing. I don't know how much truth there is in this. Maybe they're trying to build up some, there are a few bad results, and then the vultures start circling. I don't know. They have a big name as their sporting director, and Ólafur Kristjánsson, who was, previous manager at Breiðablik and abroad. And so maybe, I don't know, people are just trying to drum up some drama there, but I think it's more because there were some big names being linked to Breiðablik. They were being linked to Jón Simon, the Faroese international who went to Kawa, and others, and it might seem a bit underwhelming that they're recalling a guy from Haukau. But I mean, the last time they recalled a guy from Haukau, it didn't end up super badly, I guess, with Stefán Ingi. So
yeah.
So no, I mean, I think he's had a pretty good season for a game. So sometimes impressive Haukau, but I guess the tumultuous Haukau side can be fair to say.
Yeah, you put him in. You take him and you put him in a Breiðablik team that has a little bit more quality than Haukau, and although Haukau's got the double over them this season, I think he might be able to do a little bit more with what Breiðablik can offer in terms of playing style and chances created. So yeah, one to keep an eye on for sure. Another move that we wanted to talk about. So Stjarnen's actually brought in a Danish player from Lyngby. Christian Reese is what I'm going to go with. You probably have a better pronunciation, but if I'm remembering correctly, he's a center back. Is that right?
Yeah, the defender at the very least. He came through FC Midtjylland, a pretty big side in Denmark, and he's played a number of games in the Danish Superliga. So it's on paper it's a pretty big signing. He's been unlucky with injuries, like a few people have in Lyngby, unfortunately for them. But I thought it was on loan originally, but there was an interview with Jökull today, and it seems like it's a transfer until 2025. And it's maybe not, when you look at all the departures, Isak Andre and Gummi and all these sort of players leaving, you would think they maybe want to strengthen up front or in midfield, but they seem to be looking maybe to stabilize the defense. And so if they can get him fit, then this is a huge signing for someone in the Besta Deildin. It should really help settle some of the younger players and give them a bit of a better base in the back. So it could be a really interesting signing.
Yeah, I will be interested to see what comes of it, because if I'm remembering correctly, Lyngby they were kind of in the relegation fight in Denmark, if I remember correctly, and they survived on the last weekend, I think. So I don't know how much of a role he played in that, but I think it may be more of a long-term signing, or at least eyes on the future maybe with him. I don't know. Hard to say at this point in time, but yeah, interesting nonetheless. We should also mention, so Thorimar has officially moved to Osters in Sweden. What do you know about this?
Yeah, it was being linked to both Valur and Kaur. I know Kaur wanted to strengthen in defense, and we'll touch upon later. They've done a little bit of that. So that's one of the players they were looking at. But Kaur were pretty adamant that they wanted to sell him abroad. So they've gotten their wish. I'm sure it's more exciting for him as well to move to try his hand at professional football.
Good. Moving on. So another move, Bjarni Gudjon Brynjolfsson has moved to Valur, or he will move to Valur, at the end of his season from Thor.
Yeah, that was another fight between Kaur and Valur. So they had a few tussles here in the last few days. And this is a U19 international midfielder who's highly sought after. And again, Thor were adamant that they wanted to keep him for their end of the season battle. So he'll be moving to Valur next season. It'll be interesting to see, because especially young players, some of the young players have come in and done really well at Valur, but there have been some that have struggled and haven't fully been able to get a foothold. I mean, the same could be said of Kaur as well up until this season, to be very honest. So it's always interesting to see when these young players move to bigger clubs, if it's the jumping board they need, like Valgeir Fredriksson who moved from Fjölnir to Valur to Sweden, or if he needs a bit of time to adjust to moving to the capital and to a bigger team.
Yeah. Well, one player who certainly is not one of the younger players in the league is Stephen Lennon, and his time at FAO, absolute legend, has come to an end. He has moved on loan to Throtur, but his contract expires at FAO at the end of this season, so he's most likely played his last match for FAO now, which is sad. He was one of the players that, because he's English speaking, drew me into the league and to Icelandic football. I saw a couple different mini docs on YouTube a while back that featured him, and he showcased his life in Iceland and why he decided to go there and what he likes about it, and all the typical things that you would see. And so yeah, he really kind of was the player most of all that got me into the game in Iceland. And so I'm sad to see him leave my club, and and he's still going to be playing, but it's a big move for Throtter. I think that I saw a tweet from someone else that said he's going to combine with another player there, and that actually is going to be quite the deadly duo. And so I'll be keeping an eye on that as well. But yeah, he's gone now. So bummer.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be, as a Coward fan, I'll be glad to see him go. He's been a pain in the ass. So that's a compliment for him.
I love it. All right, so we will go to Keflavik next, and they've actually brought in a Palestinian Croatian player. Is that right? Muhammad Al-Ghul.
Yeah, it's two of the foreign players that have come in the end of the window that we don't know too much about. We'll touch upon the other one next, but it's one of those players that he has some youth caps for Croatia. He switched his allegiances to Palestine recently. Midfielder, according to Transfermarkt, but it's sort of, that's kind of where the knowledge bank ends for him. Really excited to see if he can what he can do, and it's always nice to see new players. It's in this globalized world where you've seen everyone play, and you know everything about every league and everything. It's always fun to see a guy you've never heard of step on the football pitch. So that's I'm really excited.
Yeah. It looks like he started his career at Lokomotiva Zagreb, which is kind of the other team in Zagreb. Obviously, Dinamo being the other one, but yeah. And then he's kind of bounced around a little bit. Looks like he's played in Romania and a few other places. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he can do. He last played for Wadi Degla in Egypt. I don't know if you already mentioned that or not, but that's where he's coming from. So today, EBVUF announced that they'd signed a French Congolese player. His name is Jordan Kolololo. Kololo. And Kololo. Whew. He's 30 years old. He's a forward. He has played, a while back he was playing in Ligue 1 for Caen. He's a bit of a traveler. He's also played in Romania, Croatia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Kazakhstan. He's coming to EBVUF from Kazakhstan. That was where he last played. The weird thing about this move, they've only signed him to the end of the season. So it's a real short-term deal. It just kind of seems like he's almost like a mercenary type. Like they've signed him, taken a short chance on him to see if he'll come in, score the goals, help them stay up, and then decide what they're going to do from there. I guess I should also mention as well, he's got 12 caps for the Democratic Republic of the Congo, for DR Congo. He last played for them in 2020, so it's been a while since he's been capped by the national team, probably because he hasn't been playing regularly. He's got a bunch of short stints in a bunch of different countries that I mentioned just a second ago. So how this is going to turn out for them, I don't know. But it doesn't seem like it's a huge gamble, and it could potentially pay off.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this a bunch of times before, that Icelandic teams bring in foreign players that maybe, we don't know too much about, and they take a bit of a gamble, and it sometimes you never hear about them again because they leave 2 weeks later, and then sometimes it really works out and it becomes a huge success. So yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I'm excited to learn about some new players and see what they can do.
Yeah. So your team, Kaur, had a player join from Spezia. Tell us who's coming in.
They needed to strengthen a bit in defense. They loaned out another young defender, Rúrik Gunnarsson, to Afturelding in the first division, and they've brought in Birgir Styrmirsson from Spezia, who joined from Kaur a few years ago. He's part of the U19 national team as well. Really talented young defender, and we've had some good experiences now bringing in young players, and I'm sure he will get a chance. If not this season, then for sure next season. I'm sure he'll get a few games this season as well. It's going to help strengthen that center of defense, and especially with this split coming up, hopefully in the top half of the league, they're going to need some help to keep more clean sheets.
So in terms of official moves that we know of, that kind of wraps it up. But there are definitely some rumors floating out there. Logie Thomason is one of them. you and I have heard on multiple occasions that he's had interest from Scandinavia. It looks like, and it was specifically a club in Sweden, it looks like that's kind of calmed down a little bit. And what I saw, and you may have seen something different, but what I saw was there were actually a couple teams in Denmark that were looking at bringing him in. I think Odense was one of them. Can't remember who the other one was.
They said there's 2 official offers now. Norwegian media is talking about some Norwegian teams. So Strømgodset apparently is one of them. So but then like you said, there seems to be some interest in Denmark as well. So
they have a little bit. Yeah, so they have 30. It's a 30-week season, and they have 11 games left.
yeah, so because they're not coming to a close, but yeah, it's sort of in the latter stages. So bringing in a young Icelandic defender maybe is not the priority for some teams right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, it would be really nice if you could get a move abroad. He's been definitely one of the better fullbacks, if not players, in the league for the last few seasons. So for sure, he's earned his move, and hopefully gets a good one.
We should also, I guess, add that Ari Sigurpálsson has also been included in kind of those rumors to potentially moving to Scandinavia also. So looks like he might be maybe headed out as well. One player that we talk about a lot because he's very talented, and I think both of us are surprised that he hasn't left yet, is Igor Aaron at Stjarnan. And yeah, it looks like he doesn't have any suitors at the moment, but the Stjarnan manager Jokl doesn't know if he'll finish the season. So yeah, there's a quote here from him. He says, I do not know. It has to be revealed. I hope that there will be a team that believes in him, knows what he stands for, wants to use him and buy him. It would be best. His mind is looking there.
Yeah, he was asked about it because also he had a bit of an injury scare in the game against Fylkir. He said he's doing okay, and then he was asked about whether he thinks he's going to finish the season or whether his injuries might have some issues, some bearings on his transfer rumors, and it not going to hit him there. So I can't imagine that teams aren't looking at him, especially now with Isak Andre starting off pretty okay in Sweden. And the people, and then Stefan Inge starting off pretty well in Belgium as well. So it's not like these players are going out there and bombing. It's they seem to be starting off pretty well, and hopefully this helps. This can only help the players here, and so I'm sure there's suitors. I'm sure there's people looking at him. I don't know, no official bids, like you said, as of yet, not that we've been told of, at least. But no, I wouldn't be surprised if he moves. Let's say it like this. I would be very surprised if he starts the season starts next season with Stjarnan.
Yeah, agreed. I think a move is kind of on the cards for him, and as Jokl said, right, like his mind is already there. Like he clearly has the interest in going. So yeah, I think that's probably going to happen. Just a matter of when. Just back to what you were saying briefly too. Maybe we should have done an Icelanders abroad section, but yeah, Stefan Ingi and Isak Andri both scored their first goals for their clubs this last weekend, which is really exciting. If Isak Andri didn't score, he got an assist. I can't remember exactly, but it was one of those for sure. Maybe it was the assist. Tryggvi's nodding his head, so it must have been an assist. But yeah, that was his first start. Maybe that's what it was. First start, first assist for Norrköping, which is fantastic and really exciting. So good to see players leave the Besta and go and excel abroad. Love that. It means we're doing something right, so that's a good thing. And with that, we will end it there. Tryggvi, any last words?
No, I think we've covered everything, and like it's a really big weekend coming up. Víkingur Valur is obviously the big one, but like we said before, there's some huge games at the bottom. IBVA Fylkir will be huge. Fram Kawa as well, to be honest. Both teams really needing a win. And then Haukov if FO, the battle for the middle. What did you call it? The lower half of the top division, or what did you
Yes, exactly. Yes. And then Stjarnan Kaur, right? So that's like another battle between fourth and fifth.
So it's there's no duds this weekend. So and then, I mean, we can call it Breiðablik Keflavík will be a draw, right? Because that's what happened before. So Keflavík drew Valur, and then now they're going to draw Breiðablik again. So that's no need to watch that one. It's going to be 1-1.
Well, I don't know though, because maybe Eighth or Aaron will score, so. Since they brought him back, but who knows? Anywho, yeah, it's gonna be a bumper weekend in the league. So definitely tune in if you can. We will be doing it, and we'll be back next week with another episode to run things down. Just if you don't mind, and if you've made it this far in the show, we thank you for listening. Please leave us a review if you can. We're always interested in feedback, and the reviews and the ratings help us get in front of more people. And yeah, if you like what we're doing, please share it with your friends. Let them know. And yeah, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Best of English. We try to have some cool content up there to highlight some things in the league that maybe we don't always get a chance to talk about. We appreciate all the interactions. So with that, Tryggvi, thanks for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll talk to you next time.